Welcome everybody to Rewrite Your Reality with Reese. I am your host, and today we're going to unpack time is not linear. You can revise it from both ends. So I came up with this process to not only revise your reality, but also point you into and what you actually are doing in that moment of reliving a memory. Right? I call it rollback revision. Because it's just a augmented way to see Neville-Goddard's explanation of revising your reality, pruning and shearing the tree or whatever it was. Right? The rollback process. So typically you remember a certain scene that affects you in a certain way, or rather you are creating that effect and that scene simultaneously. So what I want you to do, or what you can do, is notice the scene. You've seen it enough times, it shouldn't become as a shock to you, but you are consciously remembering the scene now. And you become aware that this specific memory is something that you replay automatically, and you're just becoming aware of it, letting it appear as it is. And you let it play. Let it play again, however many times until you are just relaxed in this experiencing of whatever the scene is. Remember, relax, you aren't creating this over and over again. You're just creating the experience of understanding what this actually is. And you just let it appear as it is, right? And then you rewind slightly to the beginning, and then from the beginning, roll back just a little bit. Or to the point where you don't know how to go forward to where you were. I hope that makes sense. Basically, pick any point in the memory, right? And you're going to go backwards. Just replay it backwards in your mind. Get to the point where you usually started from. And then go back further. And then as you rewind, you will realize, as you roll back, you will realize that the pathway leading up to that specific point where the memory starts is being created by you right now, because the entire thing is being created by you right now. So from that awareness, you start that reel again, but from this time, from the perspective of who you desire to actually be, the consciousness projecting its physical experiencing of itself as the identity you desire to be. You'll feel a shift, right? You feel yourself shift into this identity, and then you go forward. That identity can't experience that reality in the way that the other one did. So you're no longer revising that story by force, you're just rewriting it by literally being the version that you choose to now live by. This is the version of yourself that you are. You've always been it. You see, it's just a very simple thing, just to roll back slightly and realize, hey, I'm creating everything up until this point. You're creating everything in all points. So when you realize that from anywhere, you can revise it. So this is a little fun way to spruce up revision, or rather, unpack it in a different way. Now, because revision was the point of this video, I did actually come across a Facebook post about that. And the statement was very interesting because it did point to a lot of ideas that are simultaneously somewhat limiting and somewhat enlightening. So I decided to use it as a way to level up everybody, including myself. We get these questions, and then from these questions we can unpack higher experiences of knowing ourselves. So the initial statement, and please remember, this is a thing, this is not for pointing at or pointing out anybody's limitations or anything like that. It's about the teaching, right? It's about literally pointing back to awareness from our own higher power and knowing. And never to pick on anyone, but to point inwards, always. And you can point inwards from questions, because that's what the questions are. They're pointing you to an answer you already have. Now, statement just summed it up a little. Revision doesn't work for me. I prefer to live life to the end. I encounter less resistance. Brainwashing myself into believing that events happen X, Z, Y instead of X, Y, Z is inconceivable to me. I prefer to believe and accept that events, regardless of the labels, are there to lead me to where I want to be. I'm just going to unpack that a little bit. So, slide number 2 here. Living in the end. Remember, revision is always happening. Whether you say revision doesn't work for me or does work for me, it's revision. You are revising every moment of your life. It doesn't really matter how big or how small or how inconceivable it might be. You are revising in every single moment, right? You are revising what you are going to say, what you are about to say, what you thought you said. You are revising all the time, right? The revision has this understanding that it's something in the past, but it's not. Revision is revising who you are being in every moment. So that past event is actually now. That future event is actually now. The now event is now. So whenever you are revising your self-concept of yourself right now. And you're always doing that. Because every moment of reality is simultaneously available. Past, present, and future exist as potential to you right now. Living in the end means embodying the desired identity right now. Because the desire is to be the person that experiences the desire, right? The desire isn't the car. The desire is the version of you who is driving the car. That's what you are actually trying to manifest, right? I say trying. But that's the point. The relationship you want. You aren't trying to manifest the relationship. You are manifesting the version of you who is and does and will and had experienced that relationship. Who is that person? You. Revision and living, in the end, are the same process because you're basically revising an identity. Remember, an identity lives in all of the reality it lives in, not just the end. It lives in the entire thing. So choosing and assuming the version of yourself that has already lived and experienced that desired end is a continuous process. You are continuously always assuming who you are. Whether that's past or present, the identity is always present, right? Physical events continue to unfold immediately from that awareness, right? They reflect prior choices sometimes, these past understandings and events that you were being aware of previously, but they are never unfolding from a past event. They are always unfolding from who you are now, because identity shapes the interpretation of what those events are unfolding into and as. Because the physical event might be playing out from a version of you that you no longer are, but the event itself is meaningless. It's playing out and as who you are being in every moment. Even if it looks as if it's still playing out from that other previous version, the reality itself is playing out as the identity you choose to be consciously aware of. Your linear perception is an experience, not a limitation, right? Your linear perception is an experience, it's not a limitation. Just because you're seeing things happen one at a time, it's meant to be that way. Otherwise, you'll be flooded with infinity and you'll be very confused. How many thoughts do you have? Do you want more? Right? Reality itself is non-linear. It just happens all together, everywhere, all at once, right? It's complete. Remember again, that fourth one again, fifth one again, right? Physical events unfold from who you are being, right, in every moment. And when you're looking out in the three-dimensional world from your physical standpoint, whatever you are seeing is already manifested from whatever you are being aware of. What it unfolds into an as is not necessarily what you might think it is unfolding into an as, because reality can just be anything, frankly, but it must always be unfolding into what you are conscious and aware of being, because you are reality. So it might have come from another version of yourself that you are experiencing and you are aware of. That doesn't go anywhere, but it's always unfolding into who and what you are conscious of being, right? Just go back to that statement. Remember, revision doesn't work for me. That's just a belief that we choose to believe in. I prefer to live life to the end. Remember, you don't live to an end frame. You live as an identity who is experiencing all frames as that identity, including the one that you experienced in and as your desired end. You encounter less resistance when you do things this way. What that actually means is that you're still living half and half. You're finding resistance because you are still holding on to linear beliefs. The resistance is letting go of the linear belief, not necessarily choosing to experience reality in the way that it actually is, because you're already creating reality in the way that it is. The resistance has to only be on things that are not true, right? You encounter resistance letting go of the thing that is not true because you need to believe in it. Brainwashing yourself into believing that events happen X, Z, Y instead of X, Y, Z is inconceivable to me. Yet, you conceived the very notion of things happening X, Z, Y. We already looking at the thing saying we can't believe it. The fact that you can write it that way means it's conceivable to you, right? So, you prefer to believe and accept that events, regardless of the labels, are there to lead me to where I want to be. You are already where I want to be. Yes, the events and circumstances are absolutely unfolding as you consciously walk in that knowing that it's leading you to where you want to be because you're already there. But here's the thing. Regardless of the labels, X and Y are labels. Resistance is a label. Revision is a label. They are all labels. Labels are labels. Brainwashing is a label. Inconceivable is a label. These are all labels, including the words I am. It's a label. Knowing your awareness is not a label. We just use the words I am to refer to that knowing that you are awareness. So as awareness, drop all the labels and know that all time is happening right now within you, and you're always revising it back to front. And slide number 3 over here, which is what I was getting at. When you buy that pearl of great price, it is to truly drop all labels altogether, as you said, regardless of labels. So when you are actually living regardless of labels, none of those things matter. The fact that time goes backwards and forwards doesn't actually matter. It doesn't. Because you don't do anything with it anyway. You don't actually do anything with the fact that time flows backwards and forwards. You're just revising it now. It's like, hey, whatever popped into your mind, whatever thing you are aware of currently in that moment, this moment, whatever moment, it doesn't matter whether it's past or present now, does it? It just matters that, hey, I'm aware of this. That's not my choice. I don't really like that. It doesn't really fit who I am now. Well, who am I? I am this. How would this version of myself experience reality? Like that. Well, that's who I choose to be. That's much better. That's about it. It doesn't matter because it's past or present or future. It actually means nothing. It actually doesn't even, it actually just dawned upon me right now, right there and there, that it literally does not matter whether something is in the past in your perception or in your future in your perception, because you're gonna experience it exactly the same way. We're just making a concession to past and present because it just is less resistant to try and, to mentally create this gymnastic of past and present and future. But ultimately, it doesn't actually matter because you imagine the exact same way. You imagine yourself as how you would like to be, whether it's past or present or now. So it makes no difference, right? So every choice, assumption, and focus expresses the version of reality aligned with your awareness. It has to. However you're experiencing whatever thought in your awareness must actually now be aligned with who and what you choose to be. Even when it is not what you choose to be, it's just another version of yourself that you're experiencing as a transient thought. Who you consciously know yourself to be is what's happening. The end already exists in awareness, but that end is not an end of the road. The road doesn't end. The road just is there. It's not separate from the current experience. Nothing is separate from the current experience. There's no road that just exists on its own in your mind. It all exists together as reality. And reality unfolds according to the identity assumed, not according to linear expectations. You can have any expectation you want. Reality will say, okay, cool, good for you, that's nice, but this is what's happening, and it wasn't what you expected. Sometimes, quite often enough for you to actually think about it. In fact, we had this argument about a worker coming in to work, and the person was very adamant that they were coming. They come all the time, and I said, you don't know that, and they didn't come. I was just sort of laughing. It's quite funny. So, number 4. Physical events have momentum, right? We can just say it like that. It's a little bit of a concession, and the sequences are unfolding, right? If you drop something, basically, it's going to hit the ground and shatter, right? Those events and sequences, they're part of an identity that you are experiencing, but you are no longer choosing to be. You are accepting this identity exists in the specific experiencing of reality, but you don't agree with it, and it is no longer your preference, so you don't have to do anything about it. I'll give a very simple example. A couple of examples. I forgot I had about 4. Right? So, you put food in the oven, and cooking, even if your awareness is shifting, right? Your awareness has now shifted. You revise this experience to be the version of you that didn't start cooking their food for whatever reason. But then you go look at the timer, and the timer is ticking down. Or even something else. While you are imagining your wish fulfilled, experiencing it, enjoying it, loving it, time continues to pass. You look at the time, and 5 minutes went by. But your identity is a different version of you. A different time period is happening. What's going on? Breathing. You could take a breath in, and you can imagine yourself being the version that didn't. You still have the breath, it's going to come out, right? Because revision is not erasing. You don't erase the clock ticking down. You don't erase the clock ticking forward. You don't erase your breathing or not breathing. You don't erase the thing you last said to some person, and then you go ask them, hey, do you remember me saying this? I say, yeah, you said it like 10 seconds ago. You don't erase it. It's just recognition and assumption that, hey, that other version of reality now exists, and it is my preference. Whatever physical unfolding will just unfold from within me. I don't have to do anything about it. Even if the prevailing appearances of the previous identity I no longer choose, even physically as me, is happening, and in my awareness of it, I know, as knowing, I've chosen something to live in and as and from. Because that's where you are now. Number 5, I actually have a personal experience. It came to me while I was creating this. There's 2 roads that I can drive on. And I always took the road going forward. And I'm not sure why I did that. I always took the road going forward, even though the one right near where I live gets me to where I want to go faster. And every time I was on that road, I just said, okay, and I revised, or imagined even, a simple thing, that I took that road. I took the left-hand side road, and unfolded, went down the straight road again. Revised and said, no, I understand that I am experiencing this. I am aware that I am experiencing this. I'm not disagreeing. I accept that I am on this road. I'm not going to close my eyes and wake up and I'm on the left-hand side road. Right? Please don't close your eyes and drive. But whatever unfolded over and over and over shifting reality, for whatever reason, it just became so natural to take the left-hand side. Yeah, sometimes you fight with the reality. Sometimes you want to kick back. Sometimes you just want to force something. All of that is happening in awareness, and you can't make a wrong move. But don't worry about whatever move you did make. Go back within and move within and take the left road. Because it is right to go in and take the left road, right? And it just naturally unfolded. And here's the thing, taking that left road now actually feels as if I've only ever taken that left road, even though I'm aware of versions of me who took the straight road and went the long way. But it was a very simple unfolding from just choosing. And these things are simple. Yes, these things are very simple. It's like, oh, but how does it apply to? It's exactly the same. You make a choice and you stay in that end, regardless of what happens. That's the point. And you're always doing this. The point of this specific video is not to be showing these, what we consider grandiose reality shifting. Is that even these moments, you are doing exactly what it is you are trying to do by shifting reality. You're shifting all the time. You're shifting your identity, and it does not require force. It doesn't require anything other than awareness that you are consciously just choosing a new direction, a new destination, a new identity. Because remember, while I was driving, my end isn't out there somewhere, a version of me who turns left. No, my version of me is I prefer to be driving on this road on the left. That's who I am. I am that now. So even though I didn't initially experience that physically while imagining and revising it, because I was still on the straight road, it didn't matter. As consciousness, it has to just naturally unfold it where I'm driving on the left-hand side, because I'm already driving on the left-hand side. So all experiences, all actions just exist within your awareness. That's revision. Revising your desired self in every single moment, whether it is past, present, or future, it doesn't matter. It's all revision, because you're revising an identity. You're revising your choice in identity, and you're choosing again, saying, this is who I am, because I'm aware of it, because I assume myself to be this, because I've imagined it, and it's my decision to be it. And I am your host, Reese. This is Read Your Reality with Reese. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the question/statement that it was. It was a wonderful unpacking. Quite a bit of it is true, that everything is leading you to your end, and we're all experiencing that in every single moment. But when we unpack things like that and we see limitations that we are putting on ourselves, it's good to always point ourselves back into our own awareness and say, well, why do I even believe that I believe I can't believe this? Why do I believe that I believe I can't believe this? Because you don't. Because you've always been the person that's awareness itself. Thank you all for being here. Much love, much light. Thank you all for all the new people that joined. Quite a lot of people, so welcome as well. Thank you for joining the TikTok page. Thank you for joining the Facebook page. Thank you for the liking. Thank you for the sharing. Thank you for the commenting. Thank you for the following and subscribing. Thank you for being here. Much love, much light, and I'll see you all in the next one.